Dr. Burgess for any questions he might have for our panel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and obviously we could talk a great deal of time about this. Mr. Cuellar and I both represent border communities in our state. My border is with Oklahoma, which is a separate problem.
That could be a very dangerous border, especially when they take our football players.
Yes, they take our football players, you're right.
Actually, they come of their own free will, just in vast numbers, we're happy to say. But it's a friendly border except next month in October.
Except for football.
We'll see you in Dallas, deep in your own territory.
So, you and I in 2014, all of the unaccompanied minors that were coming to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, and Ana Hernandez, the First Lady of Honduras, came to Texas, and she was asked, "Don't you want your children back?" And she said, "Yes, of course we want our children back." And the Obama administration accommodated and sent a lot of the children back. The effect that had, if I recall correctly, was to dramatically reduce the influx of unaccompanied children at that time. So we do know that repatriating people or turning people back or remain in Mexico, whatever we want to call it, does work. I think we probably disagree a little bit about the functionality of a border wall. The whole idea is you get people to the port, you push them to the ports of entry rather than just what we've been seeing on our television screens. I mean, it just can't live like that. I can't believe the president would veto a Homeland Security bill with what has been in evidence the past, literally for years, but this past several days in Eagle Pass, it's just unbelievable. So bad that our governor has declared an invasion, which is kind of a bold step, but it's untenable. It can't go on. And the president's going to veto a Homeland Security bill? That's crazy talk. So, I think there are some things we could agree on. The Remain in Mexico policy, if it were enforced, and of course the Biden administration was told by the courts that it had to continue it, but they stopped enforcing it and the numbers just really precipitously dropped off. We saw in the Obama administration repatriating children back to Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador really did result in a dramatic reduction. It's a lot of money that those families are spending to send a child or themselves here. And if there's no return on investment, then they've got this incredible debt with no way to satisfy that.
Yeah, and I do want to say that we do have to put resources, and I'm for border security. I don't stand for open borders, and it's just how we get there. For example, why don't we put more money into the USCIS and immigration judges and have them be at the border so they can give them a thumbs up or thumbs down and see who qualifies under credible fear or under asylum. Why don't we go ahead and give Homeland a little bit more authority where they can do the work outside the border? Because right now they're just playing defense. If you look at the images that we're seeing right now in El Paso and Eagle Pass right now, basically you have DPS. They're talking about sending another 800, 900 military down there, and then a border patrol. But what can they do? The policy repercussions, I agree with you, does apply. In fact, working with those countries are very, very important in providing resources to address that. At one time under the Obama administration, Mexico was actually stopping more people at their southern border than our U.S. Border Patrol. So again, this is why I emphasize extending our priorities will be very, very important.
Still, it's difficult to overcome the sophistication of the cartels. And they've had decades to perfect their trade, and you and I both know they have. The communications method that they have, someone gets across, and I saw someone interviewed on television today. He got across, he's happy, he's here, and it's great, good future ahead of him, and he communicates that back downstream. And hey, those guys that were going to charge you $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, they got me here. It worked. I recommend you try it as well. And that's what drives the pressure. You have to interrupt that at some point. You can't, and I don't disagree with you. You're not going to interrupt it at the border, but you have to interrupt it. if I recall correctly, when the governor of Mexico put some additional resources down on their southern border, the cartels found ways around that, and they had rather big ferries that were bringing people across at probably high remuneration. I would also, and this is just me, but man, I would tax remittances to pay for all this stuff. I think we can afford a lot more than what we are investing. And there is a place to get that money without coming to the long-suffering American taxpayer.
Well, I think we're on the same page on disruption, because I have an amendment that takes the $2.1 billion away from the wall and puts it for HSI, so they can disrupt, put more on outside the U.S., so we can do that. We just got to be smart. Look, we all want border security. We all want to respect the migrants' rights and who qualifies, who doesn't qualify. But it's just being targeted on doing this and talking about, we had the vice president, we had the first lady down to the border. This weekend, the president, as far as I know, the president of Honduras, she's coming down to the southern border because, again, like you said, they want their kids back. Who wants to lose that generation? And I remember that. UK Ranger, myself, and other folks were down there. Thank you. We're on the same page. We just gotta, you gotta include us, you gotta include Democrats on the solution.
We're not exactly on the same page.
Yeah.
But, Mr. Diaz-Balart, I really so enjoyed your presentation today. You did an excellent job. I thought you were quoting from the Babylon Bee about North Korea at the World Health Organization. And I've fought for years to try to get Taiwan observer status at the World Health Organization. Maybe it's time just to eliminate funds for the World Health Organization. They really haven't, I think, provided anything of value to the American people. But thank you all for being here. We've got a long day ahead of us. I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.